Hello internet viewers, I'm the Fairly OddGamer. I mentioned in the last review that I'd be talking about Top Gun. You know, that Tom Cruise movie from the late 80s about fighter jets? Well, it turns out that this very movie is getting its own sequel, 34 years after the original. So with the upcoming release of Top Gun Maverick this month, I think it's best to talk about a few video games that tie into the movie. But before I do, I wish that I wore appropriate attire. Now this is more like it. Oh, one more thing. Much better. So without further ado, this is Top Gun month. Before Disney tried to make a movie about planes close to 30 years later, Top Gun had pretty much everything needed for an 80s movie. Action via aerial aircraft combat, a rocking soundtrack, and romantic love scenes among others. Despite the movie being heavily mixed by critics when it released in 1986, it became a huge hit with audiences and would end up being the highest grossing film of that year with over $350 million at the box office. Since then, it was re-released theatrically, whether on IMAX or a 10-day limited run in select AMC theaters last year. After watching the original movie not too long ago, I really enjoyed it. The aircraft battles were amazing, the love triangle between Maverick and Charlie were really good, and the soundtrack is without a doubt top notch. From Take My Breath Away to Playing with the Boys, and even the movie's theme song, Danger Zone, performed by Kenny Loggins. But of course, with a movie this successful, it's expected to have a video game tie-in. But what about multiple video game tie-ins? Oh yeah. So for this month, I'll be covering 5 games in the span of 3 videos. And first up, we have Top Gun for the NES. We see via title screen that the game was made by Konami about a year after the release of Metal Gear on MSX computers in Japan and a month before that game's release on NES and Famicom in November 1987. At least we get to hear an NES rendition of the Top Gun anthem from the start of the movie. After a cutscene of a jet fighter ready for takeoff, we start off the game with the first mission, training for the next mission. So is this a tutorial level or something? But before the level starts, you get a choice of 3 missiles, the Hound being the weakest and lightest with 40 in total, the Wolf in the middle with 20 in total, and the Tiger being the strongest but the heaviest, carrying 10 in total. After choosing your missiles, you launch into the sky. All you do is pilot the F-14 while firing your cannon and missiles at enemy fires as well as enemy missiles. Use the controller pad to move the jet with inverse vertical controls, A to fire your cannon, and B to shoot missiles at targeted enemies. But while doing that, you also have to focus on your radar. It alerts on incoming planes as well as being targeted by an enemy fire behind you. If at any point you get hit by an ongoing missile or an enemy fire artillery, you lose a life and you have to start the level again. At the end of each level, you're given the task to land the jet fighter back to base. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Landing the jet fighter in this game is impossible. But let me tell you all this. Landing is not that hard. I mean, yeah, it can be challenging for newcomers, but once you get the controls down, it's like a walk in the park. Basically, all you do is make sure you're at the correct speed and altitude, and that you're also straight on target. Luckily, the radar shows you what speed and altitude you need to be in for a successful landing. Also, make sure you follow the radar's directions like speed up or speed down, and even go left, right, up, down, and all around. Did I mention this game has inverse vertical controls? If you do manage to successfully land the jet, you earn a bonus 10,000 points. However, there may be times in which you're either too fast, too slow, too high, or even too low when approaching the base. But if it does... yeah, this happens. And you end up losing one of your lives. The next mission has you destroy an enemy aircraft carrier. It's the same thing as the previous level, except now you fire at naval battleships, which, like the enemy ships, fire cannon shots and homing missiles. Also, if at any point you run low on gas, a ship will come with a hose. All you have to do is get the refueling hose to the center on the nose of the jet. It's kind of similar to a landing sequence, but while flying. One landing sequence later, and you then receive the next mission, destroy an enemy base. Same thing as the previous levels, only now you shoot enemies at ground level. By the way, if you do die during a boss fight, then you start back at the beginning of the boss fight. So at least this game is forgiving. Destroy 2 missile silos, land the plane, and
That could have gone better.
this leads to the final mission of the game, destroy an enemy shuttle. Where, you may ask? Well, how about the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism?
Space!
Destroy enemy fire jets as well as the space shuttle, and what else to top it off? You guessed it, land the plane back to base for the final time. But don't worry, at this point you already know how to do it. Everyone celebrates your success, but why do we have to hear the Top Gun anthem again? Why not put in more music from the movie? Like this one.
Now this is more like it!
And that's it. Pushing the start screen lets you play the game again with no credits in between. It's a shame the more I think about it.
But you know what? I feel the need. The need to review another Top Gun game. Top Gun: The Second Mission, also for the NES. Even though it's made by the same company, I must ask, why does the end labels have to look similar? Not to mention, this game was released 3 years after the first game. Well, in the US. Is this game better than the last? Let's find out.
Well, it plays the same as the original with a slight graphic update, but it actually feels better than the original. The controls are about the same as the previous game, except with normal vertical controls. For starters, you can fly faster, shoot enemies faster, fly upside down, and even
Do a barrel roll!
But here's the thing though, it's actually much harder than it needs to be. The homing missiles, I swear that you need godlike reflexes in order to avoid them. I feel like you also need godlike reflexes to avoid enemy fire, as well as firing enemy jets and missiles, including battleships. Also, I swear that they removed the checkpoint system from the previous game. I say this because if you die at any point, including the boss fight, then you have to start the level all over again. Why does it have to be this difficult? And like the previous game, the level ends with you landing the jet back to base. And did I mention this game has no inverse vertical controls? Because after just playing the original game, I've actually gotten used to the original controls, which feels a bit disorienting to me. Anyway, it's the same as the previous game minus the altitude. And once again, it's pretty easy. The other missions include seeking and destroying the enemy's deadly new assault helicopter, as well as hunting down and destroying the enemy's new military space shuttle. So you land the jet safely, and finally we get credits. Luckily, there's also a versus mode in which you fight against the computer. And honestly, couldn't these names be even more stock? Boris Babinski, Gorky Skyborsky, Igor Gregovich, Dmitry Jetsky, Bobo Bobushka, Stalin Vortimsky, and of course my all-time favorite, Siberia. Get it? Like Siberia? Oh.
And that's about it for now. So next week I'll be talking about
Not so fast, gamer!
Hux? What are you doing here?
You can't get out of it this easily. You still have another game to look at.
Top Gun Firestorm Advance for the Game Boy Advance?
Yeah, just thought you might like it, that's all. By the way, where did you get that outfit?
Internet?
Works for me. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the game I sent you. Later, dude!
Well, it looks like I'll be finishing up the video with a handheld game this time. Top Gun Firestorm Advance for the Game Boy Advance. So let's pop this into the GBA and see how good this game really is.
We said the game was published by Titus? It's Superman 64 again! Why must you torture me? But it was also developed by Fluid Studios. Believe it or not, it's actually an updated version of Top Gun Firestorm for the Game Boy Color, released the previous year. After choosing your language, we begin the game with 3D stacked images with text. I guess these are supposed to be cutscenes. Before each level, you're given a briefing on what to do in each level. Once you're ready, another cutscene ensues with more pixelated 3D images. Yeah, I'm not that big on the cutscene quality, but what can you expect from a GBA game? So in Nevada, you pilot the fire jet as you destroy enemy targets, whether by your fire cannon or missiles. Even though the whole game has an isometric view, the controls in this game are awful. You know what this reminds me of? That Speedy Gonzales flight minigame from Space Jam on PS1. I say this because it suffers the same problem I have with the minigame I mentioned as well as the bus clip level from Toy Story on the Genesis. Moving the plane feels disorienting. I honestly can't tell which direction I'm going to or where I need to go. You do have a map that helps you where you're supposed to go to complete the mission, but getting there is another story entirely. Also, why can't I have missiles that target what I need to hit? The only way I'm able to destroy anything in this game is to dive down and shoot with the fire cannon. But that can't help you either because diving down makes you vulnerable to enemy fire. Yes, these targets will try to shoot you down, increasing damage. Oh yeah, did I mention? This game has a damage meter in addition to a fuel meter from the previous games. And you die in the following ways: by running into an obstacle, or if your damage meter empties out. After completing every mission, you head back to the base and land the jet. You also score bonus points based on how many targets you destroyed throughout the mission. And yes, you're up against the Iceman. Ah! That's the Iceman? You don't even look like Val Kilmer. Well, at least you get a password. And that's when I gave up because I couldn't muster this game any longer. There are levels have you do the same thing by a spaceship close to a tropical island, Iceman's Fantasy, 4 islands, a forest I think, and even a tropical desert.
And what's it like, you may ask? Well, in the words of Anakin Skywalker,
it's coarse and rough and irritating.
And it gets everywhere.
Hey look, there's a level in Siberia. Who did I have to fight? Maybe Siberia? Okay, I think that's enough for now.
But jokes aside, there's really not much to talk about in this game.
I don't think this game's held up for me in my opinion. I understand that these games are trying to be realistic, but none of them give any appeal to me. I mean, yeah, second mission on NES was pretty good despite it being difficult. Had I been given more patience with that game, I think I would have enjoyed it. I understand that Top Gun for NES is notorious for how bad it is, and yeah, the game has hardly anything to do with the movie except it has the name Top Gun. I don't know why they say landing the jet is difficult. It's literally easy. Well, once you get the controls down pat. I feel that Top Gun Firestorm Advance is the worst handheld game I've played so far. The controls are disorienting, the missiles don't home into targets, and the graphics are not to my satisfaction. Overall, these games are not that good. If you want to have a good time, I suggest watching the movie rather than playing these games.
But hopefully next week will be better, because I'll be talking about the Top Gun game that made its first jump to 3D. Until then, I'm the Fairly Odd Maverick, and I wish you all good luck for the rest of your day or night, wherever you are. Take care, everyone.
How's it going, dudes? Huxgamr here. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon if you want to get notified for upcoming videos.
Well said, Hux. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and some of my character buddies on TikTok. And if you'd like, you can have one of my character buddies do a short video for you via video commission. Links to all of those in the description below. And so, without further ado, I wish that one of my character buddies finished off the video.
Hello everyone, I'm Scrooge McDuck, the richest duck in the world, and I'm here because you can support this channel on Patreon. But I can assure you that you won't be wasting any money for this, because you will be rewarded for your generosity. How, you may ask? Well, how about access to the Discord server? Maybe your name being featured in the credits. No? Well, how about some bonus content, like maybe a sneak preview, or perhaps an early showing of upcoming game reviews? Still not convinced? Maybe this will. I could give higher-ranking supporters a public shout-out, like Flashbigger, Elysius and Glum Gold Massacre or the Beagle Boys. Once again, I thank all of you for watching this video, as well as supporting. Hey there, Mr. Big D! Oh, hold on a second. Yes, Launchpad, what is it? I heard that game review is doing something related to those Top Gun guys, am I wrong? Is that the trick question? Hey, I was just wondering if I could be a part of the Top Gun program, that's all. Launchpad, may I remind you that you didn't even go to flight school? Well, I did take a crash course. Oh, curse me kilts. I got to get going. I got to prevent Launchpad from making more crashes again.